Alright, welcome to another foosball lesson in Aarhus Foosball Club. Today is going to be about a subject that some people have requested, which is tips for playing singles for people who can already play doubles, for people who are already quite good at doubles. So what skills can they transfer to singles from what they already know, and what new skills do you have to learn? That's what today's video is going to be about. So first of all, let me talk about the things that are the same, the things that you already know from doubles that you can just copy paste into your singles repertoire. And I think most people probably already know this. I'm just stating the obvious, but let me just say it anyway. So of course you can use the same offensive 5-bar system as you do in doubles. And of course you can use the same offensive 3-bar system as you do in doubles. And you can defend on goal against the opponent's 3-bar the same way that you would as a goalie in doubles. And I think those are probably the only things where you can do exactly the same thing as you do in doubles. Everything else is a little bit different in singles. So, but I mean, the similarities are very important things. Offensive 5-bar, offensive 3-bar, defensive goalkeeping, all of those things are very, very important. So if you're already a good forward and a good goalie in doubles, then you'll probably be a pretty decent singles player already, just by being able to do those things. But now let's talk about the stuff that is unique to singles. So I think probably the most important thing, I guess, when we're talking about what to do with the ball, offensive play, the biggest change is what to do on the 2-bar. Because yeah, you can play the same way as you do in doubles. Like for example, in doubles and sometimes also in singles, I play like this. I play open-handed pin shots from defense, right? And sure, I can do that in singles too, but there are some big differences. Like one of the differences is I don't have a partner who can catch passes. So that limits my options quite severely. I can put my 3-bar down and kind of try to do something like this and make a pass that I can catch half a second later by moving up the table. I can do that, but if I want the 3-bar to like move around and, for example, catch a pass in this hole or something, it's gonna be very hard to have all of those options that I usually have in doubles. Although I can maybe shoot it onto the opponent's back wall and sometimes be lucky to catch it if it doesn't like jump up into the rod as it just did. But it's not gonna be quite as consistent as in doubles. So if you choose to shoot like you do in doubles when you play singles, you totally can. But your main threat is going to be on goal. And if you want to add a pass, it's probably gonna have to be a pass to the wall where the man is just stationary and you can catch it like I showed before, this kind of thing, but it's still gonna go wrong sometimes, more often than it would in doubles. And So your main threat is going to be on goal, definitely. And now the problem is, what happens when you don't score? Now, this is the difficult part about shooting with the right hand in the singles. What happens when you don't score? So when you play like that, you kind of have to make an additional movement right, like the split second after you finish your shot, you have to move up the table. And I mean, I used to be a little more athletic than I am now. I used to be very fast at that, but I can try to show. So I'm gonna try to not score and just move up quickly. I didn't succeed in not scoring actually. I actually tried to hit the 5 bar there. Let me try that again. So that kind of thing. I didn't actually catch the ball, but at least I made contact and the opponent didn't just get it on the 3 bar as he would have if I had stayed down here. You see? And sometimes I'll actually catch it. Sometimes on the 3 bar, sometimes on the 5 bar. Now, Truls Trier, he once told me that when I do this, I should just get my right hand on the 5 bar as quickly as possible. And I can see his point because I can make that motion quicker than getting my entire body up here with both hands. So I can see his point, but Truls Trier doesn't actually have, although he's a great foosball player, better than me, he doesn't actually have experience playing like this with the right hand from defense in singles. And I have quite a few years of experience doing that. And in my experience, I have been more successful going for both of these rods as soon as I let go of the ball. Because I have actually caught it on the 3 bar plenty of times, and also on the 5 bar, sometimes I block it and manage to shoot it up to my 3 bar. I get a lot of possessions that I wouldn't have gotten by just having my right hand on the 5 bar. But putting your right hand on the 5 bar is also an option. So, to sum up, you can play from defense as you do in doubles. You can play exactly the same way if you want to. You just have to be aware that your passing options are much more limited, if at all existent. And you have to be fast moving up the table as soon as you let go of the ball. Now there are other things that you can do from the 2 bar in singles that are not possible in doubles, and that is playing with your left hand. And you can either play with your right hand on the 5 bar or with your right hand on the 3 bar. And I mean, it's a matter of taste, which one you prefer. I like to play from my 2 bar to my 5 bar because it's kind of simple. There's only one rod that I have to get past. So if I can execute my passes and catch them consistently, then that's a pretty simple system to play. So that's the pro for playing 2 to the 5. The cons are that your 5 bar needs to be working well, and you're not gonna score any goals from defense by playing 2 to the 5. So you're kind of relying on your 5 bar and the 3 bar to be efficient, and that's been my problem in singles for a long time, that I'm still trying to solve. That usually my 2 to the 5 works excellently, my 5 to the 3 works excellently, but I must confess I do not have the best 3 bar in the world. It is okay, it's fine, but not the greatest, and it's often annoying that I have to score all of my goals from my weakest bar. So that's why I like to sometimes go down here with my right hand and shoot, because I have played this way in doubles for so many years, and I'm comfortable with those shots. So if I need some goals from defense, that's what I'm gonna do. Now let me show some 2 to the 5 systems. I'll start with the one that I actually use, so that hopefully I can execute the passes. But then afterwards I'll just try to explain a few more systems that I don't personally use, but I can hopefully explain it, even though it'll probably be a bit misexecuted. But the one I use, I like to have it in a back pin here with my first guy, around the middle of the goal, maybe a little bit more towards the opposite side, like over there. And then I like to roll it to around this point, and then I have a couple of passes I can execute from there. So one of the passes, probably my favorite main pass, is a brush pass into the middle here. So like that, except I hopefully catch the ball in a match. That kind of pass. That's probably my favorite. Now you can vary, like if it's from here or here or here that you execute the pass. Point is, it's just a brush pass into the middle guy, you know. And for me, it's important that this guy is not able to catch that pass, that the opponent has to use this guy to do it. And that's kind of, that's the way Lars Christiansen back in the day taught me how to do this. Lars is no longer with us, but he, like the way he taught me to play this 2 to the 5 system, it was inspired by the way Frédéric Collignon did it, but it's not actually the same. I think Lars he watched Frédéric Collignon do it, and I think Lars kind of misunderstood what Frédéric was doing, but then Lars's interpretation of it was actually quite good also. So I'm actually using Lars's interpretation of Frédéric Collignon's system, which I guess is not exactly what Frédéric did. But the point that Lars was making was that the lane pass cannot be caught by this guy. It has to go like somewhere in between these two. And the wall pass doesn't have to go all the way to the wall. Sometimes you can go like in field and catch it. It just has to be in between these two, so it cannot be caught by this middle guy. That way, the opponent always has to use 2 guys in order to block 2 passes. So the wall pass is something like that, you know. Sometimes it goes all the way to the wall, and sometimes not. Oops. And the thing is, the whole point in this system is to have like so much speed on this lane pass that the opponent kind of has to deal with it. So that they have to be in here, and then you can always do the wall pass like in between those two in some way, like that. And I know that, like for example, that pass, technically it could probably have been blocked by this guy over here, but because he has to be all the way in field here, this hole just becomes very big for the wall pass. And I don't know if it's actually a wall pass because I'm not passing to the wall. I'm just passing to this guy out here, like, and I'm actually catching it in field. But those are my main passes. I have a couple of alternative passes that I almost never use, but one of them is like going further out and then making an actual pass to the wall, like that. And the alternative to that is passing to the fourth man when I go further out, like that. Oops. Like that. So, kind of two systems in one, I guess. Now you can expand this system by adding these movements to it. I don't really do that a lot, but you can do all the same passes out of this kind of movement, you know? So I think what's important when you do that, number one, ball handling. The ball handling is not super easy when you do it like that, but you can of course train it. Number two, I see some people who limit their own options. Like, let me try to explain. So sometimes you touch the ball with this side of the man, right? And sometimes you touch the ball with this side of the man. And when you touch the ball with this side of the man, it's important that you can still do both options, like a lane pass to this guy and a wall pass to that guy. And the same when you touch the ball with this side of the man, you should still be able to do both options. So some of these are going to be, let me just put this up to make it a bit easier for myself. Some of these are going to be a bit hard, like for example this. You see? And that kind of thing. You get the point? Is it clear? So you switch between touching it with this side and the other side, and you just switch between those two all the time. And no matter which side you touched it on last, you should always be able to do both passes. Okay? Now you can add some shots to the system. Like for example with the setup, you can do a shot like that. Oops. I've never really been the greatest shooter with my left hand, but try to show. A shot like that is an option you have. You can also do some different stuff after switching guys, like do shots like that. Trier has always been quite good at that stuff, like playing lots of different passes with his left hand, and also being a threat on goal at the same time with his 2 to the 5 system. Now I kind of keep it more simple. I basically just try to get it on the 5 bar. That's my main goal with playing 2 to the 5. If you are more if you are good at shooting with your left hand and you are quick getting around the table and stuff like Troels Trier is, then you can successfully add some shots to this system. If you are kind of just technical and maybe a little bit slow around the table like me, then you can just pass to the 5 bar and 5 to the 3 and score with your 3 bar. You know, keep it simple. That's what I do. Both things are fine. Now let me show some other 2 to the 5 systems. You can of course do all the same stuff from this guy. I think that's what most people do actually nowadays. Yeah. I never play like that. For some reason I like to play over here. And I don't know why. I mean, I guess because that's the way I learned it originally. That's the way Frederik Collignon did it. It's the way Lars Christiansen did it. I remember Sven Vonsil, he used to play over here and do that stuff, but I think later he switched to this kind of thing instead, which is, I mean, this is definitely, with this guy, this is definitely the most important, the most popular 2 to the 5 nowadays, is from the Nier guy. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure why. I kind of feel like holding the rod out here and handling the ball out here is the Boncini rod gets kind of bendy. I don't really like it so much, but it's very popular. And I think probably the best thing, if you really want to be a virtuoso 2 to the 5 player, the best thing is being able to do both, and then you can kind of turn it into like a tic-tac system where you can always do both, like, and you're always able to pass, like, no matter where it is, and then you can kind of freestyle a bit more because you can always do all these passes from both of the guys. So I guess that's the long-term goal if you want to be really, really free in playing 2 to the 5 and being able to like freestyle. And yeah, but for me, just actually these 2, that one and this one, that actually works for me. And I mean, it's enough. Maybe someday I'll learn all the other stuff. I've already practiced it a bit, but it takes a lot of practice, because I think most of you will find if you are used to playing doubles, it's not necessarily that easy to catch your passes on the 5-bar when you play 2 to the 5. It feels a bit different than being up here and catching passes on 3-bar. It's just, yeah, it's something you have to get used to. It takes some practice. So there's also the Tony Spredeman 2 to the 5 system, which takes advantage of the wall, the bank, because you know, on the 5-bar, this you can only play it into the wall like twice, like 1, 2, and then you cannot do it again unless you do it into the other wall, which is weird rule. But on the 2-bar, we don't actually have that rule, so you can actually play like this, which is what Tony Spredeman does. And then there's he's always like ready to make basically 2 passes, that kind of wall pass, and a pass to this guy, the 4th man. It's difficult. Yeah, you get the point. Let me just do it from a standstill just to show it. There's a wall pass like that, and there's a lane pass, I guess, to this guy, like this. Okay, and of course it needs more speed, and you can always do those 2 from this kind of setup, you know. And I think he also does that one, where he pushes the ball before doing the wall pass. I'm not really sure why. I think it just looks like he's pushing it into the wall, like that kind of thing. It's kind of clumsy to play like this on Bonzini because of this hill here. You know, the table is not straight in the corners. There's a big what do you call it? An arch, a hill. I don't know what you call it. Point is, it goes uphill towards the corners. So this is much easier to do on Tornado because the table is just straight. Here I constantly have to adjust because the ball is always like about to move forward and I'm always like about to lose the ball forward. So I think just doing this movement takes some practice. You can see that I'm kind of all the time playing the ball a little bit backwards to adjust for this. If I just play it straight like I could on Tornado, the ball is rolling forward. So if you want to do this on Bonzini, I don't really understand why you would prefer this system on Bonzini, but I guess the pros are that it's simple. There are just 2 passes. You can basically do them all the time. You are constant threat out there. The cons are that you have to be able to work with this uphill thing that is trying to get the ball away from you constantly. So you always have to adjust on Bonzini. On Tornado it obviously works great, or on other tables where the table is more straight, it works great. So I think that's enough about the 2 to the 5 stuff for now. Let's talk a bit about 2 to the 3, and I am not an expert in this area. I actually don't have tournament experience playing 2 to the 3, but I do know the common principles of it. And for me, the basic idea is you play like you would in doubles, except with your left hand. And now you actually do have a partner, which is your right hand, that can catch your passes. So you get rid of this problem that I was talking about earlier, when you play it down here with your right hand, that you don't have a partner up there who can catch your passes. If you play with your left hand, you do have a partner who can catch your passes. So you can basically play exactly the same way as you would in doubles. The problem is you just have to learn the entire repertoire with your left hand. You have to learn all the same shots, all the same passes, but the principles are the same as what you would do in a doubles match with your right hand. Now you're just doing it with your left hand. Now one important movement that I think I've mentioned this in an earlier video, but I'll just mention it again. A lot of people who are good at playing 2 to the 3 forget one important thing, which is get your left hand on the 5 bar when you are done executing whatever it is you're executing. Like you have to get up there, you know. If you don't, if you just wait and see what happens, so often your opponent will, when they block it with the 5 bar, they will almost always get it on the 3 bar automatically. But if you get your left hand up on the 5 bar, then you can stop that from happening. So I think that's the main thing that people are missing. Now, I don't really think I need to show the shooting and passing repertoire, because this lesson is for people who are already good at doubles. So I'm guessing you already have a 2-bar system in doubles, and just learn that with your left hand. Learn to catch your own passes with the 3 bar, and learn to get your left hand up to the 5 bar as quickly as possible as soon as you let go of the ball, you know. But I mean, yeah. I guess I can show a little bit, just the simplest stuff. So if you play like this, a push kind of system, you want to be able to shoot on goal with a push shot. Again, I don't have any experience playing like this, so my shots are pretty bad. But that kind of thing without making an own goal. You want to be able to make this Hoover kind of shot, that kind of thing. And you want to be able to make some shorter push shots and some more angled hoovers, stuff like that. And you want to be able to do some passes. Like I like this one where you go around the ball like this because it looks like a push movement. So kind of like that. You want to be able to hit that into different angles. You can do some pull side passes, like kind of like that. And you can of course do this where you switch over to the second man. And then if you are Miguel dos Santos or something, then you can make a ton of bank shots and a ton of different options with this left hand. That takes a lot of practice, of course. But yeah, the main point is it's the same as playing doubles. You just do it with your left hand, and you are responsible for getting the 5 bar down as quickly as possible, and for catching your own passes with the 3 bar.
Except if you're playing open hand or snake, I guess, from the defense, then you have to learn some other.
Yeah, but I think I mean nobody plays snake from defense.
Yeah.
And if they do, they are not very successful. I don't remember seeing like a world championship final or semi-final or quarter-final or anything like that with someone playing snake from defense.
I think Alexis Järl is the only one I can.
Who?
Alexis Järl. He got into the quarter-final or something.
Okay. So maybe there are some exceptions. Most people who get far in tournaments do not play snake from defense. But if you play open hand, I mean, I think you can like. If you look at my hand, I think you can do this kind of motion, like to kind of simulate it. But I mean, again, I'm not an expert on it, and I'm not so much I'm not so much trying to teach the technique. If you want to learn the technique of playing 2 to the 3, you should ask someone who actually plays 2 to the 3. I don't play 2 to the 3. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on the technique. I'm just trying to share the principles of the strategy behind it and how to use it in a match once you've learned the technique. When it comes to the technique, just look at the best players do it, see their hand movements, try to watch them, try to copy them, try to experiment on your own when you practice, see what works for you. I mean, that's how you learn technique. So I don't really know what a good 2 to the 3 hand technique is. I don't know enough about it to talk about that. But I still think those principles that I just shared, the idea behind it, and the fact that you have to get your left hand to the 5 bar as quickly as possible, I think those are valid principles. And just remember those if you want to play 2 to the 3. Okay, so that's enough about the attacking 2 bar, I think. We've covered shooting with your right hand. We've covered playing 2 to the 5. We've covered playing 2 to the 3. And there's basically nothing else you can do. Some people like to shoot with their left hand while they have like a hand on their file bar, just to have a backup for loose balls and stuff. I hate that. I absolutely hate that. I think it's just unambitious. I get the idea, because like if you play 2 to the 3 and you don't get your left hand to the 5 bar very fast, you'll probably be tempted to just have your right hand on the 5 bar in order to be ready. But come on, I mean, you're limiting yourself so much by playing like that. You should have your right hand on the 3 bar if you're shooting with your left hand from down here. You should have your right hand on your 3 bar so you can pass to it, and you should just get your left hand up here as fast as possible. Then you don't need to be like play like that. I mean, that's just, to me, it's unambitious, and I don't like it. So I'm not gonna give any advice on doing that, except don't do it. That being said, some very decent players do it. I just don't like it. That's my personal taste. So that's the attacking 2 bar. Let's talk about defensive 5 bar, because that is kind of different in singles to what it is in doubles, I think. Because let's say the opponent has the ball. Most people play near wall. In doubles, I would be defending with my left hand on the 5 bar. Can we see my left hand? Yeah. So I would normally be defending with my left hand on the 5 bar. And because I've played so many doubles matches, that's what I'm most comfortable with, because I know my positions. I can make my movements very fast. If you look at this guy, like I think the main positions, I'm gonna simplify it a lot here, because defensive 5 bar is a complex subject with a lot to talk about. So, but if I'm really oversimplifying it, there are 2 main positions on the defensive 5 bar. There's forward into blocking the lane and like trying to shoot the ball up to your 3 bar. And there is the guy backwards into the wall to catch the wall pass. I think these are the 2 main positions in defensive 5 bar play. Now, that's not all you need. Definitely not, because like for example, some people pass from here to the middle guy. Some people do other passes to the middle guy. Sven Vonsul, for example, likes to do this like straight pass, which is not a wall pass, not a lane pass, but in between, so that if you're just in these 2 positions, that pass will basically always get through. The same with this one, like that one. If you are in that lane position I talked about, there's space for that one for sure. And if you are in that wall position I talked about, there's also space for that one. So there are some passes that cannot be blocked with either of those 2 positions. But I think just in terms of keeping it simple, not to make the lesson way too long, let's say these are the 2 main positions of the defensive 5 bar play. Now, I am very confident with my left hand about my positioning, because I've played so many doubles matches. With my right hand, these can feel a bit more uncomfortable, because I haven't played as many singles matches. But I think if you want to get to a really high level in singles, you need to do it with your right hand. There are some very, very good players who do it with the left hand in singles, but sometimes they get punished for it. Like, for example, let's say the opponent is defending with the left hand. Why does it work in doubles and not in singles? The reason is, I mean, that's the main reason. Your partner is not going to catch that back wall, so you have to be so fast getting down there with your left hand to catch a back wall, for example. Or, like, 5-bar shots. I'm not the greatest shooter from the 5-bar, and I'm not personally so great at punishing it when people defend against me with their left hand in singles, but some people are. Some people are really good at punishing that by shooting on goal with their 5-bar. They can hit shot with this guy, and it's really hard to block all of it just with your left hand on the 5-bar. This goal is kind of open. At least you know these guys are not going to move because there's not a hand on it. And you have to be so fast protecting the back wall. You have to be so solid covering the 5-bar shots with only your left hand. It's just so many things that you have to do with one hand just because you feel comfortable with these positions. And I guess also because, for example, when the opponent makes a lane pass, you can like shoot it up to your 3-bar, like so you block it forward to your 3-bar, and it's easier to catch it if you already have a hand on your 3-bar. So there are some pros to defending with your left hand on the 5-bar, but there are some massive cons that that some players who are good at that stuff will take advantage of very heavily, I think. So I think it's okay to defend with your left hand on the 5-bar in singles as long as you don't get punished, but you need to also be able to do it with your right hand. So I think what you gotta be able to do with your left hand, something you don't do in doubles, is, can you see my hand here? This. You gotta be able to do this with your left hand. Okay? Can we look at the guys again? So I'm moving both of these guys. I can kind of move them kind of freely. I cannot shift over to this guy, but as long as I'm using these two, I can move them kind of separately and control both of them just by using my fingers on these two handles, right? So I think that's an essential singles movement that you want to be able to do when you are defending with your right hand on the 5-bar. You want to have control of both of these with your left hand. Also, when people are shooting from defense or stuff like that, you can hold like this and do this kind of thing. This movement is, I think, essential for singles. To use the fingers. Your thumb controls the 2-bar, and the other finger controls the goalie. So that's an essential single skill, I think. Now, when you are on your right hand with the 5-bar, you have the advantage that you can more easily catch back wall things with your left hand like this because you're already down here. And you can more easily block 5-bar shots because you can move these guys around the goal. You can also more easily catch slop, mis-executed passes and stuff that are going towards the goal because, again, you are protecting the goal with these movements. So that gives you some advantages. Now, the disadvantage to defending with your right hand on the 5-bar is that it's hard to get a hold of the ball when your opponent makes a lane pass, and that's why I came up with this exercise for that specifically that Truls and I have been doing recently. So let me explain the exercise. Let's say Truls is passing on the 5-bar. For the sake of this exercise, he's only allowed to make lane passes, because a wall pass you can always catch here. So that's not so hard. A lane pass is more difficult to catch, because when you are holding the guy backwards, like this, in a backwards angle, you are making the hole bigger. But when you're holding it forward, you're making the hole smaller in the lane. So that's why most of the time you want to block a lane pass by shooting it forward and trying to catch it on the 3-bar. You can also catch a lane pass, but it has to be kind of slow or you have to be really sure exactly where it's coming. You can, but most of the time you want to shoot it forward when you block a lane pass and try to get it on the 3-bar. Now you can either shoot it hard and try to get it onto the back wall and then catch it on 3-bar, or you can shoot it a little bit softer and try to catch it directly on the 3-bar. Or you can have your guy forward, and when the ball comes, you make this, like when the ball comes, you make this movement in order to control the ball. Those are kind of the options you have for blocking a lane pass, okay? So now let's try to do this exercise. So Truls is going to do lane passes only, and my job is to get the ball, not just block the pass, but actually get the ball, hopefully on the 3-bar. If I get it on the 5-bar, that's also fine, but I just need to get the ball and not just give it back to him. So that's my goal in this exercise. So would you do some lane passes, Truls?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so there I actually got the ball in defense. That was fine. Oh, and that's a small Bonzini hole. That happens sometimes. So that's what's hard about singles. And I did not get the ball there, so that was not so great. Caught it on 5-bar, that's fine. Oh, I almost caught it there, but I was too slow, and you should also try to catch the back wall if that happens, just to show that in this case, in a real match, I would not actually have gotten that ball. But I was very close to getting it, and yeah, let's just do some more of these. Okay, and that one, you could probably have caught that on your 3-bar. Okay, so I ended up getting that one. Now here, normally I guess you wouldn't position these guys here, right? In a singles match.
Do like this.
Yeah, so let's just do your normal singles setup. And you see, I'm trying to catch the ball very fast on my 3-bar. It's quite difficult to get up there in time, but I think it's a good exercise maybe it's more effective to shoot it a bit harder when I block it, so that I'm planning for it to go to the back wall. That's also an option. I would really like to just be able to catch it directly, because then I don't give him a chance of catching the back wall, you know. So I would really love to be able to do that consistently, but it's hard, and that's why we're doing this exercise regularly, just to improve in that aspect of our game. And I think it's a very relevant exercise, because this is such a normal situation, and this is why it's so nice if you are able to be up here with your left hand on the 5-bar, because then you can just go in and catch it in with your right hand as you would in doubles. The problem is there are some massive cons to being up there with your left hand. So being down here with your left hand, up here with your right hand, and being able to catch the ball very quickly on the 3-bar with your right hand, that is the dream. That is what I would really love to be able to do. But it's still very hard. But I'm just sharing my thoughts on it, even though I haven't really mastered this yet. Now, what else is differences in doubles and singles? Yeah, okay, so I think a good tip for people who have really not played a lot of singles is I see a lot of players basically being locked into these two positions, like either they're here, left hand on the 5-bar, right hand on the 3-bar, or they're down here, left hand on the goalie and right hand on the 2-bar. And it's always one of these two positions, and you kind of sidestep all the time in the singles, and that is just too slow. Like for example, let's say I'm up here, I have to catch a back wall. There's no way I'm gonna catch like this. I mean, it's just too slow. Like if I'm up here and I need to catch the ball down there, I'm going down there with my left hand without moving my feet down there. It takes too much time, you know? So you gotta be comfortable, like just moving your left hand down there, or to the goalie if you need to keep a ball out of the goal. I see a lot of good doubles players in singles just being up here and just looking at the ball going into their own goal. Just looking. So the fact that you have time to turn your head and see it go into the goal, that tells me you also have time to do this. You have the time. You just, maybe you don't have the time to do this and jump all the way back there, but you have time to do this. I mean, and it's just really important that you are able to make this left hand movement and get hold of the 2-bar or the goalie rod just with your left hand without moving your feet, because then you can catch stuff down here much quicker, even though you're up here, you know? And the same goes for, like, for example, this defensive 5-bar thing that I showed before, like when I'm in this kind of position. Look at my body positioning here. I can very comfortably, without moving my feet, control all the rods, you know? I can definitely get to my 3-bar with my right hand and back to the 5-bar. I can definitely control both of these individually and together. And I am not blocking the 2-bar. Some people stand like here, so they are blocking their own movement with the 2-bar. I'm not doing that. I can move the 5-bar comfortably. I can move the 3-bar comfortably. Move both of these two individually and together comfortably. So I'm in a position with my body where I can comfortably control all of my rods and switch between them without having to move my feet. And I think that's important to find that position for you where you can control everything without moving your feet. Now, of course, if I get the ball on, let's say, on the 5 bar, if I get the ball, I'm not staying in this position. I mean, that's awkward. Of course, I'm going to move up here to my doubles forward position, of course. But on loose balls and defending, I'm going to be in this position a lot of the time. If the opponent gets it on the 3 bar, of course I'm going down here with both my hands to my usually goalie doubles position, of course. But it's still nice to have this main singles position, I would call it, where I can control all the rods without a problem. Then as soon as there's a possession, either down here or here or here or something, or here for that matter, then I'll switch to one of my doubles positions. But I still have this singles position. Now, let's talk about defending against the opponent's 2 bar. Because in singles, let's say they are shooting from their 2 bar. It can be a bit difficult in singles because, like, maybe I have a zone where I'm used to having a partner who can also move a bit and adjust to what I'm doing up here, right? I have found that in singles it has been very difficult to use the exact same zones as what I do in doubles. Some people are better at it, but if you also have problems like me doing that, I mean, one thing you can do is just leave the 3 bar alone, maybe put it where it blocks some of the most important options for your opponent, and you can be in this, you know, the defensive 5 bar position, and you can, I think it's nice to have some control over my defenders when I'm defending against shots on goal in general. I feel uncomfortable without it. And I mean, I kind of like this position, and you can sometimes go to the 3 bar and like maybe move it so you give them a new look sometimes, but your main position is this, with the right hand on the 5 bar and the left hand on defense and goalie. You can also leave the 5 bar alone and do it like this, but I personally do not like that because if it hits the 5 bar, there's a very good chance the opponent is getting it on the 5 bar. Now, if I have my hand on the 5 bar, you could say that if it hits the 3 bar, there's a good chance that they're getting it back in defense, yeah. But I'd rather have that happen than they get it for free on the 5 bar. Like I'd rather have them just get their 15 seconds back in defense. Like they've not really improved their position by doing that, right? And it's risky because sometimes I'll get it on the 3 bar if they shoot it into my 3 bar. So yeah, I kind of like that way of defending against shots from the 2 bar. Loose balls, how do you get good at those in singles? Just practice, play a lot of singles. I think that's I don't think I have any like really concrete secret except what I've already talked about. You need to be able to switch rods quickly without moving your feet. I think that's important because this foot movement slows you down on loose balls. What else is there? I think I've covered the stuff that I thought was important to cover. Are there any questions or any comments? Anything I forgot?
I could maybe add the loose ball part.
Yeah.
You can train it by playing speed singles. So
Yeah.
you're not allowed to control the ball, just fire away.
Yeah, for sure.
Because then you'll get really many touches and situations you have to handle.
Yeah, for sure.
In a short time.
Definitely. Yeah. Fast ball in singles. Also 2-ball rollerball in singles. Also very good. Yeah. Also left-handed singles. Also very good. Like playing a singles match without your right hand. That's also really nice because you really need to do a lot of work with your left hand in singles. One exercise that we used to do back when I started, I had Gunnar Sørensen as my coach, and me and my partner back then, Jonathan. We did a lot of these exercises with Gunnar where we played 2-ball rollerball singles, and we were not allowed to control the ball and play methodically. We just had to play very fast until there was only 1 ball left, and then we had to switch to playing completely methodically. Now we were not allowed to play fast anymore. Now we had to slow it down and control everything. And so I like that exercise because it gets you used to the dynamic that often happens in singles, where you have to be very fast on some loose balls and react really quickly, which sometimes also makes you want to shoot very quickly or something like that, which isn't always productive. So it's good to be able to react very fast to loose balls, and as soon as you control the ball, slow it down and play methodically. You know, that's an important skill to have, I think. Yeah.
I also have another comment actually. Yeah. You were talking about how to decide if you want to play the 2 to 5 and 5 to 3, or you want to play 2 to 3. Yeah. And I think there's a funny mathematical aspect of this, because let's say that you know, or you have an 80% success rate for this pass and an 80% success rate for this pass, but you have a 2/3 success rate for this part. Then you can actually calculate what is best in theory. Of course, there are a lot of other situations, but you can simply multiply those. So 0.8 times 0.8, that's 0.64, where the 2/3 is 0.66. So in that case, you would actually have better success in doing the 2 to 3.
Yes.
That was random numbers, of course.
Yeah, you are right, but there are also some details missing from this equation.
Yes, it's very simple.
An important detail is what happens when you don't succeed.
Yes.
So let's say I have an 80% success rate, if as you said, like from the 2 to 5.
Yeah.
Let's say the rest, like the 20%, they just get blocked into my own goal. That's really bad.
Yeah.
But let's say that that's not the case. Let's say I have an 80% success rate and the other 20% just become loose balls and get down here, and I catch some of them on my 3-bar or something like that. Then there's nothing wrong with those 20% failure, because they are actually okay. I mean, nothing really bad is happening there.
You need the complete picture, of course.
Yeah, exactly. So I think you're right that you can calculate stuff like that, but I think just calculating the success rate is not enough. You need to look at what happens when you fail, and how bad is it really when you fail.
Yes. And
you also need to account for the fact that you're not going to have the same success rate in all of your matches, and the more you practice and the more you keep sticking to one style, the higher your success rate will be over time. So there are some things there that are hard to calculate, but I do get your point that if you play 2 to the 5 and 5 to the 3 and you score from the 3 bar only, then your success rate has to be very, very high. I mean, that is true. And if you play 2 to the 3 and with your left hand on the defense, and you also not only you pass to the 3, but you also shoot on goal and stuff like that, a lot of it will become loose balls. If you're good at catching loose balls, a lot of it will be in your favor, even though maybe you're not doing exactly what you attempted. So it's 2 to the 5 puts a lot of pressure on doing everything as perfectly as possible, while 2 to the 3 is more a gunslinger kind of approach, where not everything has to be perfect.
I guess it was actually also a bad example because those numbers were so close. Only 2% all in all separates them. So all the other stuff counts a lot more.
Yeah.
But if the numbers were farther away, then it might be telling you something.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But as I said, you also need to look at what happens when it goes wrong.
Yeah.
Because like 80% success rate is really great, but if it ends up in your own goal, the other 20%, then it's actually not so great. Like you basically make an own goal like 1 out of 5 possessions. That's actually really bad if you think about it. Hi, Michael.
Hello.
Yeah. Any more questions, comments, anything? Great. Let's get the tournament started. Thanks for watching, and thanks for being here. And see you next time.